All right, everyone, get ready, because today's deep dive is a wild one. We're diving headfirst into the tech and science trenches over at Hacker News, and let me tell you, October 12th headlines, they do not disappoint. We've got AI going toe-to-toe with Einstein, a potential mental health game changer, and even a society that's still out there. After all these years catching horse thieves, you heard that right.
It's like a digital cabinet of curiosities over there, isn't it? Always a fascinating mix of the groundbreaking, the strange, and everything in between.
No kidding. So where do we even start?
Well, that top story about AMD's new EPYC processor is a pretty big deal.
It's more than just another processor launch, right? This feels different.
Exactly. This isn't some incremental upgrade. We're talking a full-on challenge to Intel, a real shakeup in the server market. Think about it. It's like a small startup going up against a titan, a real David and Goliath situation.
And what does that mean for the average person? Faster Netflix loading.
Think bigger. Faster, more efficient computing across the board, faster loading time, sure, but also more powerful cloud applications, the kind of stuff that powers our digital lives.
Competition really does breed innovation. And speaking of which, this OpenAI story, their new swarm agent framework, that one really caught my eye. AI teaming up like a colony of ants. Were we talking Skynet here?
Let's hope not. But seriously, OpenAI, they're the folks behind ChatGPT and DALL-E, so you know they don't mess around. This swarm thing, it lets multiple AI agents work together.
So instead of one AI trying to solve a problem,
you've got a whole team of them. Could lead to huge breakthroughs. Imagine AI doctors making diagnoses, AI engineers designing buildings. The possibilities are, well, huge.
Okay, that's both really cool and a little bit, Black Mirror-ish.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears for a second, talk about something a little less artificial intelligence, a little more, human. This headline about psilocybin, that's the psychedelic part of magic mushrooms, beating out traditional antidepressants, this could be massive.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz around this one, and for good reason.
Is it too early to get excited?
We always need more research, bigger studies, but the early results are really promising. It's like we've been doing the same thing for depression with SSRIs for decades, and they work for some people, but not everyone, and the side effects.
That can be rough.
Psilocybin, it seems to be working differently, targeting different things in the brain, and for people who haven't found relief, well, this could be it.
Fingers crossed. From a potential medical revolution to, a bug that earned someone a small fortune. $50,000 for finding a bug in Zendesk. That's a good payday for a coding error.
Highlights how important cybersecurity is, In the digital world, data is gold, and companies like Zendesk, they live and breathe user data. Finding those vulnerabilities before someone with bad intentions does, that's crucial.
Makes you wonder what other digital cracks are out there just waiting for someone to cash in, huh? Okay, before we move on, we have to talk about this. A society, still going strong from the 1700s, dedicated to catching horse thieves. Seriously. Are there even enough horses left to steal these days?
It does seem a bit out of place, doesn't it? Like a relic from a bygone era. But in a way, it speaks to something deeper, the importance of community, tradition, looking out for each other.
A little piece of history that's still relevant. Speaking of history in the making, are we about to live in a world where you can run Linux apps on your phone? Is that even a thing?
Google seems to think so, and if they pull it off, it'll be a game changer. Imagine the power of Linux on your phone, seamlessly integrated with your computer. It's like the lines between mobile and desktop are blurring.
I can already see the headlines now. Androids and Linux living in perfect harmony. Well, mostly perfect. But seriously, from AMD taking on Intel to AI learning to work in teams, it's a lot. What else caught your eye on the tech front?
Well, you mentioned AI going head-to-head with Einstein, and there's a fascinating piece about how machine learning and information theory could be used to create AI that's capable of advanced math.
Whoa! AI mathematicians? Now that's something I've got to hear more about.
It's like we're using AI to write code and make art now, but what if it could tackle the really complex stuff, like solving equations that would make our brains melt?
From calculating tips to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Sign me up. Okay, maybe not with the tips just yet. Speaking of pushing boundaries, did you see this headline about putting a whole search engine inside of Ecto? Is that even possible?
It sounds crazier than it is. Ecto is a database language known for being super fast and efficient.
Right.
And now someone's gone and built a search engine right into it.
Okay, I'm going to need the ELI5 version here. Why is that such a big deal?
Imagine being able to search huge amounts of data really quickly, all without leaving the database itself. It's a game changer for developers.
So like having Google built into, well, everything.
Exactly.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool. Not all tech news is good news though, right?
This whole WordPress plugin acquisition thing has me a little worried.
You mean the Advanced Custom Fields plugin?
Yeah, the ACF one, everyone uses that, right? It's hugely popular. Lets people add all sorts of cool features to their websites.
So what's the issue with WordPress taking it over?
Some people are worried about what'll happen to it. Will it still be free? Will they change how it works?
Like that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Eh.
Speaking of things that might need fixing, what's the deal with this Ryzen 9000 X3D processor? Is it as good as they say?
Well, it seems like the hype might be a little ahead of reality on this one.
You're saying it's not the gaming revolution we were promised.
Early benchmarks suggest it might be a little overhyped.
Good to know. Always good to manage expectations. Speaking of exceeding expectations, did you see this Starship Flight 5 license?
The FAA just gave SpaceX the green light for another Starship launch. This is huge for space exploration.
SpaceX is really out there making it happen, huh? From AI mathematicians to space travel, this Hacker News feed is like a time machine to the future. Okay, let's step out of the tech bubble for a second. What else is going on in the world?
Well, the story about Germany's experiment with a €49 public transport ticket is pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Unlimited travel for like nothing. How did that even work out?
Surprisingly well, actually. People switched from cars to public transport in droves. Less traffic, lower emissions. It's a win-win.
Makes you wonder why we're not all doing that. Okay, this next headline's a tough one. Transplant patients contracting HIV.
It's a tragic situation in Brazil, 6 patients affected. It seems there were some serious safety lapses during the donation process.
It's a reminder that even with all the medical advancements we've made, things can still go wrong. Okay, I need something a little uplifting after that. This story about beaches making a comeback in Los Angeles has me intrigued. Weren't beaches always a thing?
You'd be surprised. Back in the early 1900s, a lot of beaches were neglected, even used for industrial purposes.
No way.
It's amazing how our relationship with the environment can change over time.
Makes you wonder what things we take for granted now that will seem strange to people in the future. Like, you mean people used to drive their own cars everywhere? Okay, maybe that's not the best example, but you get the idea. What else is on the Hacker News menu?
How about a double-sided keyboard?
Hold on, I need to wrap my head around this. Is this a 2-for-1 keyboard deal? How does that even work?
It's actually pretty simple. It's a keyboard, but you can flip it over and use it from either side.
Okay, so like 2 keyboards in one.
Exactly.
I can see the appeal, I guess. With all those keys so close together, I'd be worried about hitting the wrong one. Okay, from the weirdly practical to the seriously intense. Researchers found the remains of a cannibalized Arctic explorer from the 1800s. That's a dark headline.
It's a chilling reminder of the risks those early explorers faced. The Arctic is unforgiving, and when you're facing starvation, well, it makes you think about the lengths people go to survive.
It definitely makes me grateful for grocery stores and central heating. Speaking of pushing boundaries, there's a new programming language everyone's talking about. DuckStation, is that right?
That's the one. It's getting a lot of attention. Every new programming language is like a new tool.
Yeah, a new way to build the future. Okay, this next one's right up my alley. The Turkish language has a dedicated gossip tense. Tell me that's not true.
It's true. It's a grammatical structure specifically for talking about rumors and hearsay.
I love that, like, don't quote me on this, but
Yeah.
built right into the language. We need that in English. Okay, enough linguistics for one day. What else have we got?
There's an update on the Lake Michigan Stonehenge.
Underwater Stonehenge. You have my attention.
Well, it's not actually Stonehenge, but it's an underwater archaeological site in Lake Michigan, and it's pretty amazing.
So you can't just drop underwater archaeology on me and not expect me to geek out. What have they found?
It's giving us a whole new understanding of the history of the region. It's a good reminder that there's still so much out there to discover.
I love that. Even in the age of Google Maps, we haven't explored everything. Okay, this next one sounds pretty technical. PostgreSQL streaming replication. Should I be worried?
Probably not unless databases are your thing. It's a way of backing up data in real time.
So if one server crashes,
Another one takes over, no problem.
it's like the understudy is always ready to go on. Okay, last but not least, a really interesting piece about the pros and cons of solitude in our hyper-connected world.
That one really resonated with me. It's so easy to get caught up in the constant stream of information, the notifications, the always-on culture. Finding time to disconnect is so important.
It really is. Okay, before we wrap up, we got to talk about this. The age-old question. Should you leave your vintage computer on or turn it off?
The eternal debate. There's no easy answer, unfortunately. Leaving it on can wear it out, but turning it on and off all the time isn't great either.
What a tough call.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground today. AI, space exploration, ancient history, even the finer points of the Turkish language. My brain is officially fried.
It's a lot to process.
It's always amazing to see what's bubbling up in the world of tech and science, and today's deep dive did not disappoint.
Every day brings something new.
That's what makes it so exciting. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the world of hacker news. Remember, the future is out there, waiting to be discovered, one headline at a time. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.